What's good, Lucky Lefty Podcast? I'm your boy Shaun Davis, your boy Malik Zaire, the
That's
Onora
right.
boys are in the building.
That's right.
Brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure that you do so. Gotta do it
Responsibly.
responsibly. Now, we're going to get into the O line, right?
Okay.
We had another poll to go up. Interesting enough. And we'll talk about the poll and let that build into our preview of the O line as we go into Joe Rudolph's first edition of his O line at Notre Dame. Here he's now, of course, no longer here with Notre Dame. I would venture to say that most fans, the way things are going and have gone, would venture to say that from a recruiting standpoint, especially with the news of Gerby Lambert, four-star offensive tackle out of the Boston area, pretty much having Notre Dame at the top of his recruitment with a decision coming soon. That made a lot of fans feel really good, especially on the heels of the Justin Scott fiasco. So Joe Rudolph is doing a pretty good job as a recruiter. You feel good. You feel like he can continue the trend. The young men that he's on in the 25 class already, like Owen Stribick out of Wisconsin and other big time offensive linemen that will be coming to the cookout a little later on this month. Joe Rudolph has things pointing in the right direction, but now we get to see if he can coach and develop.
Right.
This this is the meat and potatoes. Like, yeah, foundation is recruiting. Meat and potatoes. What can you do in the middle of the season? And we're gonna get to see that. It's gonna be very interesting, though.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting because you it's when you're at Notre Dame, it's a twofold system. The first half is the can you recruit? Can you bring in the right players? And then the second half is can you develop those players into the guys that you're seeing on draft day and in the awards? Harry Heaston did that, seamlessly. Was able to pull in guys that were high value, guys that were ranked very high in the recruiting cycle. And when he got those guys in, a Ronnie Stanley, a Mike McGlinchey, a Q Nelson, a Zach Martin, Nick Martin, he was able to develop them in those years to where now not only were they 5 stars coming out and 4 stars coming out, they're top of their position 4 years later. And that's the track that you want to see that continue with. And you saw when it didn't continue in that year that Heaston wasn't there, you saw a totally different landscape and trajectory of that offensive line group that, it left a lot of questions marks. But when you have a guy that can develop like a Harry Heaston, like we hope a Joe Rudolph can do, is going to put us in a position where we can continue being a foundation at that position. You got to think if Jared Parker is telling you the team is going to be based off of the offensive line, it says he had a lot of trust in those guys up front, and that's just developed through the years that we've had, great development at coaching, and also being able to recruit consistently to where basically that position group is recruiting itself. You don't even really need to send too many offensive coaches out there. I just send a brochure of the guys I sent to the league. I'm like, this the school Zach went to, Nick went to, Ronnie. You can call on Sunday and see how it worked out for them. If you want to holler at me, holler at me. I'm over here doing what we do best. Whereas defensive line, we got to be a little more active. We got to have
Mm-hmm.
a little more personality. You got to be a little hands-on. We don't have the O-line mystique defensively like a Larry Johnson has. I'm sure Larry Johnson didn't say too much to Justin Scott other than, hey, I'm Larry Johnson. Like what you can Google me, you know? And that's the luxury of having an elite developer at that school. Consequently, we have Al Golden, who's not a great recruiter, but he needs to have that effect on the defense where he's pumping out first round guys, where he's pumping out trophy winners in defensive positions because he's lacking in the recruiting. So you should expect the development part to be astronomical. That's why the linebacking group has the biggest spotlight on them this year because of the attention that goes to it and all the things included. Your lead recruiter, the head coach is a linebacker and has a big hand in that linebacking group. Your defensive coordinator who doesn't recruit, but is supposed to be this genius defensively, managing those linebackers, huge spotlight. You lose James Laurinaitis. You got to, fill that role in some way. And the anticipation from the what we needed last year to this year is from that linebacking group. So that's why, I'm full steam ahead of playing these young guys, playing the veterans, mixing them in, find that starting five, get the rotation right in that linebacking core. Because if we do, it's going to translate and reverberate throughout the team defensively, where we know we have a pretty solid secondary that we don't have to think about, but we know they'll play a huge factor this year. And then a D-line who could be hugely complemented by a J.D. Bertrand and a Marist and a Jalen Sneed and a Ziegler and a Bowen and a Osbury right in that middle. Because, hell, if we can't get enough pressure, but we can make the tackle sideline to sideline, we can, stop the ball after contact, not allow them to get extra yards, especially those running backs averaging 100 yards. If we can eliminate that through just good, consistent play at linebacker, I think it'll put us right in the spot we should be. Oh, I think you're on mute.
I want to go back to what you referenced, Left. We had just really started the podcast, and it was that controversial first season. Harry Heastam no longer here. He's in the pros. And panic set in amongst the fan base. Panic. And you jokingly just laughed and said, look, man, this is your average offensive line play across college football.
That's right.
And Notre Dame fans have been spoiled to this point, to not have to recognize this is what normal programs deal with on an annual basis. And from that, you go to last season, and it's safe to say that the offensive line struggled initially. They struggled against Ohio State in areas. They struggled against Marshall in areas. Something happened in that second half against Cal. And moving on into that North Carolina game. You talk about Jared Parker and what he said about this offense being O-line driven this year. I think they recognized last year, especially with what was going on in the skill position in the quarterback situation. I think Marcus Freeman, Harry, he's saying everybody got in the room is like, yo, this O-line has to come together.
Yeah.
If this O-line does not come together right now, we're going to have problems.
We're going to be exposed at not recruiting well at the quarterback position.
They got better, and they took a step back against Stanford. Right?
Now, hold on. We can point to a lot of different things, Stanford. I think it was a combination of
no, bro. Blake Fisher cannot be giving up sacks.
He can't be giving. Okay, that's
no.
Play calling was an issue too, though, in that game.
Play calling was an issue the entire season. I'm not gonna gripe with you about that. But the consistency.
Yeah.
They regained themselves. They really came out, in my opinion, against Syracuse and physically just let Syracuse know, like,
And that's where it's always interesting with us is because games that we're supposed to win in prime time against teams that we're better than, we show up usually. When we get the doubters, when we get, maybe they'll get upset by this team, we usually play pretty well and play like the team we're supposed to be on that evening. And it's interesting that it takes us to always see ourselves as an underdog against teams that aren't better than us. It's like now we wake up to it. We should be having the same type of energy and against these teams that we're not supposed to win against. The teams we're supposed to beat that are coming up every season out of nowhere and having these amazing runs and everybody's they're supposed to upset us. We always play well. But whenever we're going into it being the not supposed to win, but we're still a really good team, we never play up to that level of competition. So for Marcus Freeman, these games where we're supposed to win, they shouldn't even be a thought of an upset. It should be okay, an opportunity to see some young guys work, an opportunity for us to get off the field early, work on things that we, lacked last year, maybe try some new things moving for the next year. So, we can't be in tight games. It just optically doesn't look great. And it's a reflection on how people feel about us during the year. When it gets late in the season, they look back and we win in games by 3 points against teams that was 5-0 in September and then 0-5 in November. So now everybody's like, you guys barely beat X, Y, and Z, and now they suck, So that's why we got to be whooping on teams early on, like North Carolina. That should be every game that we're supposed to win. If we got these Cals and these Stanfords and these Navies where we're winning by 7 and 10 points, later in the season when them teams fall off, because everybody's hot in the beginning, but later in the season, teams fall off like a Marshall who didn't damn near win a game after they beat us because they won the Super Bowl already in week 2. Now everybody in college football is looking back at us like, dang, y'all let Marshall, who only won 3 games, one against y'all, they suck. So it doesn't behoove us to play tight with anybody, but I think we'll make a change moving forward with Marcus Freeman.
Joe Rudolph comes in and he does the same thing that Dylan McCullough does. And this, as much as there was a guy, Caleb Brewer, offensive guard, played tackle, but was a guard, that we love. We love this fan. And he comes in and he says, "No, I got another kid." He doesn't have as many stars, but he fits what we do. I scouted him. I recruited him. This is the dude we need to go get. What can you say? And the next thing you know, Anthony Knapp is locked in. And I appreciate that from Joe Rudolph because obviously he believes in his coaching. He believes in what he's looking for in his offensive lineman. And when you have a coach that does that, Dylan McCullough did the same thing. He came in, Cedric Urban Jr., nice player. But hey, this
listen,
Jeremiah Love.
we gotta, I gotta supersize my meal. Yeah, I like what you're offering.
So you have to respect that. And then the way the players vouch for him after meeting with him during the interview process lets you know, okay, this is someone that I think is going to be a very solid hire. And the recruiting side for me, because when he was at Wisconsin, bro, Wisconsin recruits from Illinois, Wisconsin, they don't have a national, they're not recruiting kids they're not getting Ronnie Stanley from Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not. It's
They're
a
not
smaller
getting,
market that you're working out of.
yeah,
Sure.
he knows his base and he recruits from that base, which gives him a strength heavily of development because he was able to bring in low rated, I think you can say, offensive linemen,
But
develop
Giants,
them,
because of where they are, the Midwest, you're gonna get you some big boys.
and they become great college offensive linemen and professional offensive linemen. That bodes well for Notre Dame, especially on the interior this year, where if you look at Wisconsin, they did a lot of pin, pull, you know, they always had.
They putting linemen as tight end and
Yes,
duos and
yes,
plays and
yes.
outside zone, inside zone. So it's
Imbalance lines, yes.
which is good for Joe Rudolph mixing well and fitting well with a Notre Dame team that's based in running the football. That's why we feel good that the least we can get out of Joe Rudolph is the consistent running game that we've had for years because of his background. He knows how important that run game is to set up the pass because that's all Wisconsin was run, to set up the pass.
But then the experience of this as well. This is something else. The familiarity of how to run against Ohio State.
Oh yeah,
Jared Parker has talked about this offense being collaborative and listening. Maybe Joe Rudolph brings something from his days of going up
bring his
against Ohio
smart
State to say, hey,
dig in that cabinet and find some of them notes on things that were successful for you. And I think what's cool about that is that we have a vault at Notre Dame of everybody's stuff.
mm-hmm.
But to be able to have those cliff notes, those little asterisk notes that, oh, okay, I saw something here that might help us, those would be very influential in the game plan, I can assume, because, Jared Parker is just trying to cherry pick off a little bit of everything. He's not a guy who's in there is my way or the highway. He's like, I'll walk down the hall, see what kind of things I can get, put that with something else that Chancey got, put that something else with Gino Gaduli has, and we'll figure out something. But knowing the ins and outs, it's like playing a conference team. I'm sure Chicago has a little bit more info on the Vikings because they play twice a year. Getting a guy like Joe Rudolph, we got a little bit more, just a little bit more of info that we can use against a Ohio State team that, when you're playing against your conference, you're going to find out tendencies and situational football that plays into effect more that you'll have a knowledge of going into a game other than just watching film and being like, okay, we think they're going to do this X, Y, and Z.
And that's something that that's a benefit. I don't think a lot of people really thought about that. Like his experience of being in the Big Ten, facing them, different formations, different looks to give them. Because they play so fast up front and they want to play so fast and be disruptive. Give them a look to maybe give them a pause. Give them something they haven't seen. They're used to looking at Harry Easton and his scheme and what they like to do. They're used to looking at duo all the time. The ability of Joe Rudolph to give a little bit different look could be a key in a matchup coming up September 23rd. But eventually it comes down to the players on the outside making plays.
Our biggest 3 games, we have to show up in the stat sheet in the passing category.
Mm-hmm.
It's just no way around it. We're not going to run for 400 yards versus USC or Ohio State or running for 250 is great, but even with 250, we're not winning the game on that.
Yeah,
and they know that. So I'm not going to be excited or overly excited at the fact that we'll most likely have a good amount of rushing yards in all 3 of those games. We had 200 against SC last year and fell short 10 plus points. So that's where Sam Hartman effect comes in. That's that insert, that jigsaw puzzle piece that completes the picture is Sam Hartman, because now, okay, we may have an unproven receiver group. Okay, yeah, we do have a strength in running the football for empty calories. But now we got a guy that can change the game for us where you have to respect the pass just because of who it is. You going to let Sam Hartman just go one-on-one all day? I doubt it. So that's going to open up effective runs for us to be able to implement and having a third down possibly where we're running on third down because they're in threat of the pass. That's where we're getting our explosive run plays from, when we're catching the defense off because we're so accustomed to moving the chains throwing the football.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's hear from Joe Rudolph himself, Left, when he talked about the O-line and preparing during the spring and what he felt about them and then how special he thinks they can be.
It was kind of funny. I was definitely not looking to go anywhere else. I really liked the direction of Coach Pry, and I really like what we had going at Virginia Tech. It just there were so many things that lined up, and kind of hard to explain, and the more that I visited with my family about it, the more confident I grew in knowing this was the right place.
And then just with your initial meetings with the linemen, I guess what are a couple of takeaways that you learned from them just in the last couple of days?
Man, they're a close group. You know, they care a ton about each other and they care a ton about Notre Dame. I appreciate them. They'll roll their sleeves up and they'll work their tails off, and they'll pretty much do anything you ask them. So I'm appreciative of that group.
Yeah.
But the one thing as you're watching them, I thought one, you're coming in and you know these guys have been, you know, I got a lot of respect for Coach Easton. You know, he actually recruited me at one time and sat in my living room, and you know I know his approach and I could feel the way these guys care about each other is because someone instilled that in them, and that's probably one of the things that really stand out. You know, I look at Joe and Blake, and you see athleticism on the edges. That could be quite unique, you know, and I think is quite unique. And those guys, when they're as a group, you know, they're one of the guys. They're leaders in that group, but they're one of the guys, and it's, you know, they're accountable to one another. And I think everyone feels that from no matter if they're a returning starter or there's someone trying to work their way into the two deep, like they have a mutual respect for one another. That's pretty awesome to be around.
I'm glad he talked about that. Look, let me tell you something. If it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're gonna start with this offensive line. You know, because you're gonna hear about youngsters, Emil Wagner, bro. How long have I been saying Emil Wagner on this podcast?
Wow, yeah.
When I saw him collapsing the defensive line last year in fall camp, I'm like, yo, this dude, Emil Wagner, he's going to be a dude. He's struggling to put on weight.
Yeah.
He still might be 285, 290. But this dude's arms, his natural strength, his athleticism, at some point you might feel like, man, we need to get him on the field. And that's fine. Get him on the field. Man, I'm not moving Blake Fisher to guard to put Emil Wagner on the field. What are we talking about right now?
Yeah. That don't make no sense.
Joe Rudolph just told you the special quality of his old line is being able to have two tackles like Blake Fisher and Joe Alt.
Right.
You want to get Emil Wagner some reps? Get him some reps.
Yeah, that's one. We get that part.
Put him in for a series.
That's right.
But we're talking about
shifting the universe around.
man.
No.
Now this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
This is just my opinion. You have your center, who, in my opinion, was one of the best players on that O-line outside of Joe Alt last year.
Yeah, it's like when you got you know how you got your room set up, and then you know you go to work, and then your wife or your girlfriend cleans the room, and then you come back and be like, "Why is the bed over there?"
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I see how you can rearrange it, but you put the bed by the windowsill instead of leaving it where it was, and it throwing me off. Yeah, you can add a vase with the flowers to the room, but that don't mean you gotta move the bed over. You see what I'm saying? Because it's about keeping things in the right order. You want to move furniture around. Okay, you can move a little furniture around, but let's not get too crazy just because we want to add something to the room. Yeah, you want to add a nice little hanging closet. You know how you put your hanging closet with your shoes in there? Yeah, but don't take all my clothes out and then move it across the room for it. You know, just got to learn to plug and play, to fit in the right spots, but not, rearrange everything. Oh, I think you want to mute.
It's funny with Blake Fisher, man. I've just never seen so many people want to do so many different things with a kid that one was able to start as a true freshman at left tackle. Number one, gets injured in his first game, comes back, and just continues to grow, and we act like he has like 3-4 years of failed play at the tackle position, and he needs to find a new position.
Right.
Granted, he came back last year and he was not in shape.
Naturally, because you coming off an injury, you
He was
dumping.
not in shape. You look at him in the spring, looks like he's in the best shape of his life, putting in work, ready to be that dude. And honestly, he's the nastiest. Joe Alder's the technician. Joe Alder's the pure left tackle, first round draft pick, technician. The nastiness of that offensive line comes from Blake Fisher.
That's right.
He's the attitude. He's the one that wants to take your head off. And you have Billy Shroud, you have Christophic. You have so many options. Charles Jagasaw is coming in. He would have been, in my opinion, he would have been a perfect candidate to move inside had he not had the knee injury
Right.
from wrestling. He's fully recovered from that. He's back running. They're going to build him up. They're not going to rush him. This offensive line has two positions to solidify. And it's real easy to solidify positions when those players are playing next to great players. It's easier to play right guard when you're playing next to Blake Fisher.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier to play left guard when you're playing next to Joe Alt, man.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know because we're going to...
easier.
Yes, we're going to have players. Christophic has played. He has experience. Billy Shroud, man, looked really good in the spring. He's young. Give him a chance. But at some point, Notre Dame is going to find 5 guys to go out there and eventually drive this offense. And that's going to be vitally important because Jared Parker told you they fully expect the offensive line to be the driving force, regardless of what plays he calls or what system he tries to devise with Sam Hartman at quarterback.
Yeah, the good
It
thing
starts with them.
and that's the good thing about having an O-line is that it gives you the versatility to do anything you want. Jared Parker wants to roll out there and go heavy set and run the ball 100 times in a game. We have the O-line to do that. If Jared Parker's like, listen, we got to throw the ball 50 times to beat Ohio State, we have an O-line to support that. So, yeah, that's the foundation because then you build outwardly. Now we can say, okay, we know we have time for these routes to push these receivers down the field for Tobias to get behind the defense. So now we can game plan and scheme for things because we know Sam's going to have enough time. Tobias got enough speed to get behind them. So now you have an effective scheme going into a game, as opposed to last year where it's like, okay, we know Tobias can get behind him. We don't know how much time we'll have on a consistent basis. And then on top of that, we don't know if we can throw it that far. So that's a triple entendre right there. It's like, man, but now having a guy that you're just in the coaching staff, like, listen, can we block this up long enough for Sam to get down the field? Because if we can, we got a chance. Is he going to be 100 for 100 and wow the stadium? Probably not. But because we have great players, those 50-50 balls going to turn Notre Dame a lot more with a Sam Hartman than it would a Tyler Buckner. He's not going to put the ball in harm's way. I think that'll decrease this year because he doesn't have to. Sam's not going to be in too many positions this season where we're down 14 and he's got to throw us back in the game. Now, Wake Forest, he's got to take a lot more chances because they probably lose. And if he's up, he's probably got to take more chances because they got to keep the lead and keep scoring. But when you get on a team where it's like, listen, don't mess this up. You think about Deshaun in 2014 or 2015 against Georgia Tech. It's like, listen, if you just don't turn it over, we'll be all right. And, and he could grow and get better after that because you got Will Fuller, you got CJ, you got a 5-star O-line, you got a great defense. Just don't turn the ball over. Just whatever you do, don't put us in harm's way, and we'll be fine. Now you bring a guy like Sam in, don't put it in harm's way, we'll be fine. But also you can make plays and score touchdowns and be consistent. Now we working with something. And that's what I'm excited about. We working with something. Sam, we can trust.
As far as the freshmen left, you got Sam Pendleton, Joe Otting, just natural grapplers on the end. Joe Rudolph is going to have a field day. But what Harry Heastand left him in the cupboard with that freshman class. I'm going to tell you now, on the interior next year, Notre Dame's going to be all right. Now, the tackle situation, left tackle, do you move Blake? Do you put a Mill at right tackle? Man, that's going to be something to try and behold to see how Joe Rudolph works that situation out. But the depth on the interior and the talent they have there, the ability to use Jagasaw at the guard early. And then you come away, like I said, with Sam Pendleton, Joe Otting, Sullivan Absher. And then this year, someone that really stepped up, Michael Carmody, man, is some of these youngsters might not get looks because guys like Ty Chan, Michael Carmody, Tosh Baker, that have been in the program, just really taking a step forward and saying, yo, this is my opportunity to go ahead and get into this rotation on the inside and make a name for myself. And the competition should be pretty heated in fall camp. It should be the interior top two at left guard and right guard. Should be very interesting to see who fill in the 1 and 2 spots at both positions. I think you're on mute, bro.
I think that's what's going to make it so great is that we have two. We can, either way you go, you can flip flop it. We'll still be in a good position. And for a guy like Joe Rudolph, when you have two guys, not maybe of equal value, but a value that you can get enough production from, you can't lose. Notre Dame's a place where you cannot lose unless you really can't coach or really can't recruit. 9 times out of 10, you're getting a capable guy. You're not taking too many guys that are projects and chances and potential that you don't really know but could be great. You're usually getting a guy that's like, okay, polished product. We can work with him here, maybe do some different things, but that's the benefit. You're eating swell. You're eating it's like not going to Golden Corral where you got a lot of options, but you may leave with a belly with a tummy ache. But you go to Notre Dame, it's like brunch at a 5-star restaurant.
I've never been to Golden Corral, bro. Never had this option.
What? Golden Corral, you would think that is giving you everything you want. But at the end of the day, just because you have everything available doesn't make it good for you.
I just have a problem like eating crab legs from Golden Corral.
No, they'll have like meatloaf.
Like my cousin I remember one time we went to Hooters and this man ordered some crab legs and then wondered why he was on the toilet the rest of the night. I was like, bro.
Wait a minute. When did Hooters start serving crab legs?
Man, I'll never forget this night.
They got them crabs from the aquarium or something. Ain't no way they got them from an actual what? At Hooters? You think Hooters is shopping in some real fish markets? Or they like, let's go to the local aquarium. I know they got some crabs hanging around. Come on, man. That don't even make no damn sense. How you gonna put titties in what Hooters is offering with some crabs? You can't put seafood with sex. That doesn't sell. Oysters and bikinis. That don't make no sense. That don't make no damn sense.
Hey, man, I'm just telling you. He paid for it, bro.
Yeah, paid for it for real.
And I'm sitting there laughing like, what, dude? Just stick with your 3 Mile Islands.
And it's crazy because they don't even advertise it. You had to really be on the menu and ask them, like, what you think about the crab? Because they don't, it's wings on the front.
Bruh.
They probably looked at you like, you sure you want that?
Like, this is an actual, man, dude. This is an actual story. It was Hooters, in Cal City, over there by River Oaks Mall. I'll never forget. And I'm sitting here like, dude, we pulled up for wings. What?
Yeah, yeah. The one off will be a burger. Okay, I get you get the burger, whatever. You getting the seafood? People looking at you like, nah, but we can't hang out with you after this. You just making too wild of decisions at the dinner table.
And that, honestly, is the danger that you face if this offensive line is not who we believe they can be.
Facts.
If this offensive line is not who we believe, because look, we anticipate that teams, good teams, are going to pressure Notre Dame
Yeah,
and not allow them to run.
they're not going to sit back and let us just run offense. Absolutely not. They're going to look
And
at film and know, like, oh, Sam's affected by pressure. That plays right into what we like to do.
man, it is paramount, and I do mean paramount, that hey, things go well with this offensive line from the jump. You cannot wait. You cannot struggle. And I understand it was tough going into the horseshoe in that environment. You're going up against great players. You win some, you lose some. That's the rep. You win a rep, you lose a rep. You have some success, you don't have success, but you cannot have the big plays defensively, the sacks, the false starts. Derek Curry, I'll point this out. Look, we expected leadership to come from this offensive line. Jared Patterson was injured. He wasn't there against Ohio State. He comes back against Marshall, and you come out with a chance to seal the game, and it's him that gets a false start. That's some of that leadership Derek Curry is talking about late in games. When it's time to win games, you can't have that. Where is that senior leadership? Now, eventually, that senior leadership on that offensive line came forward. They established themselves, moving on the second half against Cal, have some bumps in the road, but for the rest of the season, culminating in that Clemson game, hey, I thought they gave the offense against USC opportunities to put up points.
Yeah.
In that game with some missed opportunities. And they definitely, as the game went on against South Carolina, dominated the play and physically wore South Carolina down. So this is the expectation. This is the expectation moving forward. The vote for the fan poll said 80% of the fans said that they got a B grade last year as an offensive line.
80%. I mean, you got some high graders now.
Now, but is that good enough this year though?
Yes. I think being just consistent at offensive line because of all the other pieces we have, because of the things we have going on from a skill position, from a play call and a complementary football with our defense, our offensive line is going to be great because we know that this is not a Tim Quinn-led offensive line. And for that to even be, in my opinion, it wasn't bad, but that's the bottom of the floor for us. That's the floor. Now, Joe Rudolph, I don't think he's the same as Tim Quinn. So anything better than Quinn, we can trust that we're going to be moving forward on a consistent basis up front. Once we get that,
you mean Jeff Quinn.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get that, and we can trust that the offensive line is going to be there. Now it's a la carte. You got to pick your poison. And I think this is where Jared Parker's value is going to come in, is knowing when to and when not to. When are we going to put the pressure on them throwing the football? When are we going to put the pressure on them running the football? Is defense having a hard time slowing Caleb Williams down? Maybe we need to turn on the running jets a little bit. Oh, we needed some points early in the first half to take the crowd out the game. Maybe we got to throw the ball 13, 14 times in the first half or first quarter, right? knowing and picking and choosing your spots, I think is going to be a premium. I don't think we're like an offense like a Tennessee last year, who we knew who Tennessee was. They got length on the outside. They're going to run with speed, and they're going to throw it vertical. And then they're going to throw their screen side to side. We knew who Tennessee was, and they knew who they were and were productive. I don't think that's us. I don't think we're just going to convert to a Tennessee style of offense where we're just throwing deep routes and taking shots and doing all of that. We're still going to be a run-based team, ideally, but we're going to be able to put Sam in position where we can make those plays that we couldn't make last year. That's my hope. Towards the end of the season, I would like us to be pass-driven, throwing to run, but in the beginning, I'm sure we'll do a lot of running to throw as well, just to get Sam ingratiated through the fall, these first couple of games. Because the Ohio State game, I think we got to come out firing. We got to come out swinging. This is not a big game where we're walking into it being like, let's just keep the other guy off the field and let's just run the football, run the clock out, time possession. That is the old way of thinking. That's the old guard.
Mm-hmm.
We are no longer going into games looking to be the tortoise in the hare. We're looking to be the hare. We're looking to jump out, get out on you.
Amen to that, bro.
Come
Amen.
out swing.
Please let me turn on the Notre Dame game 5 minutes late and see 7 points on the board.
A whole bunch of highlights.
Yes.
Oh, damn, I got to put on DVR now. I got to really record because I can't miss nothing. That's the type of offense we need to look like in big games. All these other games, Steve Angeli can win these. Being conservative or basic or simple or whatever. These 3 games is like the Earl Spence and Bud Crawford fight. It's the top of the top. It's the top of the top. I guarantee you that Earl Spence and Bud Crawford fight, they're not going in there doing tit for tat. They're probably trying to go in there and knock heads off because it's the big game. They're not gonna go in there trying to duck a bunch of punts. No, they're like, look, I gotta go knock you out. I gotta go for the knockout. I gotta swing. So we have Sam Hartman where we feel like we got a nice little jab. Sam's not the haymaker.
No.
But he got that jab to keep the distance. Just boop, boop, boop. He racking up points, just jab.
Yeah.
That's perfect for us because we didn't have a jab before. We had a nice uppercut. The hook. We come over with the hook over top.
Mm-hmm.
But we wasn't getting points because we wasn't jabbing. So now teams is like, we can press up on him because he can't back me off of it. Sam has got that nice jab. Back up. You're getting aggressive, back up. I'm going to collect jabs, stick them, jab. That's what Sam is. And that's great for us. We can back a defense up. We can hit you over the top. We can tire you out. That jab, pop, pop, pop. 3rd and 8, pop, pop, pop. 3rd and 5, pop, pop, pop. You're going to frustrate a defense that way. And then you're going to be on the sideline like, dang, we can't get around it. We can't get him off the field. That's the benefit of a Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman's not going to go in there and give you a bunch of one-play touchdowns. He might sprinkle some in there, yeah. But Sam got that jab. Pop, pop, booty chains. Pop, pop. Nice little decision making. Pop, 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 pop. Nice way to back him off. Pop, pop, pop. Nice way to give Tobias a chance downfield. The haymakers and the X factors are going to come from our receivers. That's who we need the X factor to be. We need our running backs, Jadarian Price. That's the X factor.
We're going to talk about Jadarian Price in the second half of this show, bro.
That's right.
I don't know if you ever saw DeMarcus Cousins' documentary on Showtime that chronicled his return from his Achilles. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to get to a lot more.
Money,
Let me tell you something, man. Hey.
He should have took the money.
Hey.
He waited too long. He should have took the money. But he would have been $250 million up. What are you doing?
Lucky Lefty Podcast. That's our O-line preview. We are excited about this O-line. We believe it will be the driving force. We are excited about Joe Rudolph, his ability to coach, develop, and gosh darn it, that man looks like he can recruit his tail off the way
That's
the
right.
class of 2025 is looking. Ooh, we and Gerby Lampert is on deck.
Gerby Lambert
Hey, the saga continues.
is Pritchard. He's 25 too. Marshall Pritchard.
Are you talking about Wes Pritchard's son?
Wes Pritchard's son. Yeah,
I think he is 25.
yeah, he's a good little talent too, right?
Yeah, Notre Dame is, that's tight end. No, Notre Dame's kind of set at tight end in 25. You dig? I mean,
damn, yeah. Because I thought he was playing receiver. That's all I thought.
no, I think he switched up to tight end recently, if I'm not mistaken. But he's been putting on shows at camp. He put on a show at Notre Dame's camp, so I feel good for the kid. He really wants the Notre Dame offer. He really does.
I know, man. Look, tight end is just like Willie and the Wonka Chocolate Factory, man. You get the golden ticket. Damn, like not everybody can get the golden ticket now.
Let me tell you something. When they got our boy from Oklahoma to commit 25,
oh yeah.
You see Carter Nelson immediately was like,
nah, let me go ahead.
They got Jack and him. Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
That tight end room, I'm not worried.
No.
You close you turn the lights off, stick your hand in the room, and no matter who you pull out of that room in the tight end room, you're gonna get you something nice. It's like you know how you go to the dentist office, and then after the dentist office, you can go to the treasure chest.
Yeah.
And they got all those. They say you can only get one. And you just nervous because you like, man, I see all the snacks and treats, and you just gotta put your hand in, and no matter what you get, and pull out, you're gonna get you something right. And that's what our tight end room is. It's a treasure chest at the dentist office. You done sat there and they drilled your cavities out, and now you go get some more cavities after the drill. And that's what I love. We're spoiled at tight end, and I can't wait to see us develop that and grow that. And see Sam Hartman now, he uses tight ends. He may not be or used to having an effective tight end because he's always used to receivers. Now throw that in the middle of the field and him get comfortable with having elite tight ends. Just imagine how our receivers can benefit.
So, Left Man, give me your opinion on the biggest challenge. When will you know that the offensive line is doing what it needs to do?
It's unfortunate, but it only is going to be apparent in the games that matter. We've out-recruited 80% of the schedule going into the season. When you put our little roster sheet next to their roster sheet, outside of those three teams, you're like, oh, Notre Dame, easy. Now, whether we play like what our roster sheet looks like is another story. But from just straight up, us having more talent than 80% of our schedule, it means a lot in terms of it's going to be hard to say, oh, the O-line's turning up against North Carolina. We should. Oh, the offensive line is kicking the butt of TSU. We should. You'll know if the offensive line is putting in that work when we're handling an Ohio State team. When we're moving the guys off the ball, getting +5, +3 on runs, getting all the time in the world to push the ball down the field against big teams. That's how you'll know. If we was a Arizona State, that offensive line, you'll know if they're doing anything the first game. They don't have Blake Fisher and Joe Hall. So teams are not, and people looking outside in is not giving Notre Dame any credit for doing what they think we're supposed to do. Then I'd be, oh, their O-line is top in the nation because they can block the heck out of a Montana State. No. It's almost like the Ohio State unfortunate situation. Nobody's caring about Ohio State until they play Michigan or until they play the other big game, which is us or somebody else. Other than that, nobody's going to be impressed until they lose. Because they're like, okay, well, you're supposed to be Ohio State. You the big dog. Nobody's going to be impressed until you lose or somebody plays it close or until you get blown out. So for us, nobody's going to be impressed by our offensive line until we get tested on a talent that's equal to what we're doing. That's just what it is.
Speaking of offensive linemen, Notre Dame invaded New York yesterday, Left. And look, let me tell you something. I love the national exposure.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame keep Marcus Freeman and this football team away from bad vibes.
That's right.
I told you in the first half, keep him away from guaranteed rate field and the White Sox. Oh, none of that rubbing off on Notre Dame. Now this dude is up in here dealing with the Mets. Yeah. Keep him away from the Mets. I understand the exposure. Great interview on Good Morning Football this morning. If you missed it, talking about his relationship with Sauce Gardner and him and Mike Mickens recruiting him and how the dude never had a shirt on when he was FaceTiming him and talking about recruiting Kennedy Urlacher and playing with Brian Urlacher and being able to sit there and talk to Brian Urlacher doing the recruitment for his son. And Brian Urlacher pretty much telling all the assistant coaches that, you know, Coach Freeman was kind of stiff as a player.
Yeah, stiff. Yeah. You know.
Man.
He's a coach now. He head coach. He can't be to say, I'm sure he probably like goes in the mirror every day and is like, man, I just can't be the linebacker Freeman. I got to be Obama Freeman out here. So stiff is just a part of it because he don't know. He may go on these recruiting trips and get too loose lip or something and be on 247 Sports about him being a bad recruiter or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you the LeBron James of the recruiting staff, hell, you know, that's why LeBron, they can't find no controversy on LeBron. He probably got it, but it's the face of the league. You can't be out there just finagling like the rest of these people, you know. So Marcus Freeman is a little stiff, I'm sure, but it's for good reason. You know, he's building that mystique of why Marcus Freeman is the face of the program right now. Can't be moving forward just because we got to put that on the field because he can't make no tackles, can't throw no touchdowns. But the mystique, the essence, you know, Brian Kelly after his third or fourth year got the essence of, okay, that's Notre Dame and Brian Kelly. You know, something's going to turn out. The storyline, the headline.
Yeah.
Taking the wave, you know.
And, you know, I'll end it before we get to Joe Alt in New York. There's nothing overrated about Harry Hiestand as an offensive line coach because he's done it too many places. He did it in the pros. The dude had a dominant offensive line with freaking Juice Williams as quarterback in Illinois. Like,
hey, Illinois was relevant too when they was around.
And Rashard Mendenhall was a first-round pick as a running back behind his offensive lines. You can't call him overrated and look at the play. Just look at the NFL.
Just look at the NFL. Skip college. Just skip the whole college game. Look at the results.
If you think Harry Hiestand is overrated, what the heck is Alabama? See, Alabama offensive line gets all this credit, bro. Right? When they have the best of the best at the skill position and the best of the best at the quarterback. Who has Harry Hiestand had at quarterback and skill position? Because I've seen Harry Hiestand go into games against good teams and his O-line do good enough to have a chance to win games, and the skill position and the quarterbacks weren't good enough to win the games. Against Georgia, Clemson. That's not Harry Hiestand in the offensive line. What happened down there in Miami, that wasn't Harry Hiestand in the offensive line. Miami stacked the box to stop Adams in the run game, and Ian Book and Brandon Wimbush were incapable. They had 3 opportunities for big plays early, and they missed them all. That's not Harry Hiestand, bro. It's not.
Harry Hiestan's line didn't throw that pick against Miami.
No,
On that Miami game, too. It wasn't an offensive line thing.
that's not Harry Houston. They beat Clemson at home. Trevor Lawrence, they face him again in the championship game in the ACC. The O-line dominates the first quarter and a half, and Ian Book can only get field goals. They just move the ball down the field against Clemson's defensive line the first quarter and a half, and Notre Dame can't come up with points. Wide open receiver on fourth and 3. Ian Book just misses the throw.
Ian Book is the type of guy that leaves all the chicken left on the chicken wing.
You just can't look at performances in big games and say, oh, they didn't perform well.
We leave too much chicken on the bone.
Dude, Clemson's O-lines have been average.
Average. You can't name one
O-line was average.
Name one Clemson O-line.
Trevor Lawrence's O-line was average.
I can't name one lineman.
But the quarterback and skill position, they were damn good, Left.
I can name the defensive lineman. I can't name no offensive lineman during Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson's time.
Man.
You can't name one. I can name their skill positions. I can name their D-line. I can name their secondary. I don't know anybody on the offensive line. But vice versa, you can go through the catalog of guys you know off the top of your head, old lineman at Notre Dame. But you're not going to remember all the skill position. See, we got to reverse that. Reverse it. Ohio State isn't memorized for O-linemen, but they'll produce one or two. They'll get you one. They'll get the quota. Yeah, we got 1 or 2 first round, second round linemen. We got that. We hit the quota. We over quota. We get, every year we get 5 and 4 or 5 guys. That's over quota. Ohio State gets the quota, but they get the over quota on the skill. That's where they winning at. That's where they get the attention and the legacy from the skill. So we got to reverse that for us.
Look, there is no over. Let me tell you something. And this is my opinion. This is strictly my opinion. First of all, his track record is just too good to be considered overrated in any way, form, or fashion.
In any way. How? Overrated where?
Just
where?
What? Yeah, it can't be ignored. If that's the case, then your boy up there at Ohio State, the D-line coach, is overrated too.
Oh, for sure. And Michigan's O-line coach.
Because Michigan, I've seen Michigan just run them over the last 2 years. So Larry Johnson must be overrated in a mug as a D-line coach.
And he had Chase Young there during that time.
So when it comes to big games, man, there's so many different things that come into it, man. You can talk about how they struggled against Ohio State. There were times in that game where, look, Notre Dame was in Ohio State territory.
The problem is when
5 times.
When you're not competing on the outside and you're not completing passes on a consistent basis, you're going to think it's the O-line fault. You're going to think it's the O-line. You're like, we can't protect nothing. We can't block nothing. Yeah, the defense is teeing off.
Let me ask you this question. In Notre Dame fans, name an offensive line over the last decade that has been asked to do more for a program offensively.
Yeah. To be asked to do more for a team that's been consistently winning like us. There's not teams consistently winning like us.
Yeah.
It's one thing to ask for a lot, but shit, we're asking for a lot, winning a lot.
Man.
That's a whole other category.
What was the dude? This man. What was his name? All-American.
For what school?
For Alabama. Barrett Jones. Oh, Mr. Everything. All-American. Best offensive lineman in the country. That dude got to the league and was trash. Trash. And you look at most Alabama offensive linemen, when they get to the league, they are trash.
Hell, DJ Fluckner.
They'll get drafted high, but they are trash. And what's his name? The Thomas kid that just went first round for the Giants. For the Giants, he's starting to pan out and be a little bit better.
But he wasn't what Evan.
No.
Neal.
No.
Yeah, no.
Talent, man. You go get extreme talent at quarterback, wide receiver, and other positions, man.
Yeah, you'll be like, man, the offensive line is so good. Because what do you call Drake May's offensive line? He makes them look better.
Now, I would say Georgia has a better professional track record with their offensive linemen than Alabama.
Oh, for sure. Georgia does. That's because they're a running team, though.
Dudes were not running free against Ohio State. Y'all need to go watch the film of that game.
You said they got to watch it?
Dude, Matt Salerno caught a ball with the defender right on him over his left shoulder. Michael Mayer was running free. But dudes were not running free all game against Ohio State. That's not true. If you get access to film, that is not the case. And Ohio State kept bringing the pressure and kept going man to man because they were covering guys. Period. And they're going to do the same thing this year until Notre Dame can prove, even with Sam Hartman, that they can make the big plays. Even with him. That catch that Salerno made was miraculous.
Look, we had to make ESPN
miraculous
play.
And I'm not the only one that would tell you this. Brian Driscoll just would tell you from looking at the film. We're not talking about the copy of the game. We're talking about actual coaches' film.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the plays, there was little separation between defensive backs and wide receivers.
Yeah.
Little. Deion Colsey was hurt. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
Remember that. Avery Davis was hurt. He wasn't there.
Didn't even get a chance to go.
That they didn't even have the numbers. Well, it's not even, it's illogical. They didn't have the numbers. Braden Lindsey had a couple of plays where he was open. But that's about it. They weren't even equipped as a wide receiver core to go into that game and match up against Ohio State. So, no.
At all.
They weren't. They were injured as a core. Missing like three of their top players.
Avery Davis was supposed to be our X factor going into the year because he was the only veteran at the time. We were rolling out Lorenzo Styles, JT, and who else? The young guys. So
Yeah,
we was ill-equipped going into a fight like that.
You, once again, people can believe what they want to believe. Braden Lindsey was open on certain plays. We're not going to sit here and act like Braden Lindsey was out there like Marvin Harrison in the darn semifinal championship game, putting his hand up as soon as he came off the line of scrimmage. Man, stop. Braden Lindsey ain't even that type of dude. He wasn't even that type of dude. What are we talking about now? Now, just because he got release packages, all of a sudden Braden Lindsey is just running wide open every play against Ohio State. Come on, man. Well, stop. We gotta stop. We gotta stop, man. And I'm not even saying, no, I think Braden Lindsey's career at Notre Dame with better quarterback play would have looked a lot different, in my opinion. A lot different. But the saving grace for Marcus Freeman, when Marcus Freeman said we had to fix this problem, when he said, yo, it wasn't trust the process, it was fix the process. You know who he went to fix the process? He didn't go to Tommy Rees and the quarterbacks. He didn't go to the wide receiver room. He went to Harry Heastand in that offensive line and said, yo, we got to ride y'all. And it happened. That's that. Joe Alt in New York left. I don't know how I feel about this. This might be the most incomplete grade of judging food in New York, in my opinion. Joe Alt in New York.
This is Joe Alt. We're here in beautiful New York City. We're going on a little food tour. I'm going to show you guys how to eat, and you're only going to be getting point scores because that's how you truly rate some food. Let's get after it. The question is, I'm getting a hot dog. That's what we got to get. Got to show it to the camera. A little beautiful hot dog with some ketchup on there. Perfect amount of ketchup. I love hot dogs. We're starting off hot with a little 7-3 on the hot dog. It's pretty darn good. I mean, we got to get more food. I'm not full yet, so we're gonna go with the chicken kebab. We're gonna go a little outside the mainstream. I love chicken, nice lean meat, full kebab. Why not? It's in a bun. This is kind of interesting here. I'm just going no bun. Hot, sweating, really giving good scores out here. Really good chicken. I gotta think about this one. You know a bite. $6.8. Good. It was great. Liked it. It was great. On the bun though, I don't know if I made the bun. Probably just skipped the bun, but kebab was great. We thought we were gonna go sweet. We didn't. We're going bacon, egg, and cheese. A little breakfast. It's a bacon, egg, and cheese sound. The fact that I can get it right now at 1 p.m. just speaks that it is. Oh, no littering. Come on now. We can't be littering here. All right, this is a shout out to my guy Murph right here. This is a bacon, egg, and cheese bagel. Not bagel, bagel. Whew. I honestly don't know what's better, the bacon and the egg or this chocolate chip bagel. Oh my goodness. Look at that. A little chocolate chip in there. Adds a little sweetness to this. Ooh. Best thing I've had yet. Getting a big score from me. Gonna be an 8.2. Really, really solid. Great, great item. I had to come back on here and be truthful with you guys. After further review, it was not a chocolate chip bagel. It was a raisin bagel, but it was still great. And I think it was cranberry to be exact. It was great. I just strongly suggest getting the cranberry bagel next time. Perfect to cleanse the palate, but I think it's time to get mobile here and start heading through New York City, get some more views. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's delicious. We got something to cleanse the palate, but I'm definitely going to prefer the Notre Dame Alexa shake because it is 100 times better than this. So that's the end of this little food trip here. It's been great. Got to see a lot of beautiful New York City. Got some great food. Didn't finish off the way we wanted to, but we got some great food in the process. And just happy to be here and look forward to seeing more of the beautiful city. And yeah, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Look, see, this is the problem, man. Yeah, when you send someone to New York, and shout out to Notre Dame media, man. First of all, New York does have great bagels. They have fantastic bagels. I cannot.
And it's crazy because you can go anywhere and you find a great bagel spot.
You cannot talk about food in New York without getting a slice. Number one.
Yeah. It's a must.
How do you not sneak a slice in New York? Number two, you do not talk about food in New York without going to a bodega. Wait, how do you not hit a bodega?
You gotta go to bacon, egg,
and get a chopped cheese.
Chopped cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese. Go, you know,
you can get everything. They could have gotten everything at the bodega. They could have just set them up in a corner. Man, the bagels, breakfast sandwich, chopped cheese.
Disconnect. That's the disconnect between Notre Dame and the culture.
Yes.
We fake doing cultural things.
Yes.
And then do it a Notre Dame way.
And then if you're going to hit the cart, you hit the one on 42nd, right off 4th. That's right outside of everybody where they come out from seeing all the Broadway shows. All you see nothing but a long line of people dressed up.
See, and that's what Notre Dame got to see. Notre Dame would be like, yeah, we'll do a New York trip.
Do the research, man.
And then go to the Hamptons. That's not New York.
Research.
That's not New York.
I'm from Chicago, and I know about it.
That's Notre Dame being the misunderstanding of culture. And then you go out there and then you do that's like going to Chicago and then not going to Harold's but going to Popeyes.
And Joe doesn't know any better.
And Joe don't know.
Joe don't know.
It's not Joe's fault. It's Notre Dame putting him in the position to be a part of something when the script writers ain't writing the right script.
No.
Write the right script where Joe got to go to Brooklyn or something. Go to the Bronx and get a chopped cheese from the middle of the Bronx. That's a video. That's where you get the.
See, if I had been with Joe, they probably would have been scared because we would have been on the 3 and the 4 or 5.
At least take the train. Right?
Going to Ruthie's. I would have took him to Ruthie's and got him a nice little pork chop, smothered pork chop, cooked the order, and walked 2 blocks up to Junior's Cheesecake and hooked them up.
See?
That's what I would have done. I'd have hooked them up. You know what I'm saying? I would have took them to the Red Flame for breakfast. Got them that French toast that's world renowned.
See, name dropping. Yeah.
I'm just saying. They brought that. If Joe Alt comes to Chicago,
Chicago love their ND players.
the way they went left, they would bring Joe Alt to Chicago and take that dude to Lou Malnati's.
He'll stay outside the city.
They wouldn't take him to like the parlor, real great pub style piece of joints in Chicago.
No, won't do it.
You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't take him like to the real Italian beef spots in the woods. They wouldn't take him on 79th, 87th. They would take that dude to like Sharks. Sharks fish somewhere. Missed opportunity.
Missing the boat.
Yeah,
they say you going that way, just the wrong direction. What they say? You going away, just the wrong way. we trying, just missing the boat. You know. We got to stop Notre Dame and things up. If you go to Chicago, hire somebody from Chicago to go with.
Bro.
That's smart. That's just, you go to Chicago and be like, well, these are the top 10 things on Google to do.
Dude, you know what I would have done? I would have had, well, they don't have a show anymore. But I would have done something. I would have had Desus and Mero walking that dude around to the boat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to sit you down in the right bodega. We're going to get you right.
Because that's New York.
Chopped cheese, experience New York. You didn't even get a slice. You can find a slice on any corner.
They should have took him to the Supreme store, got Joe Fresh.
Oh, a Flight Club. Anywhere.
Flight Club. Like some I would have watched
Stadium
that
Goods.
Yeah, go to
they can set up a Stadium Goods, Notre Dame, anything collab, Supreme collab.
Yeah,
for
like
the game.
really get him fresh or something. That would have been crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, put some creativity behind that thing.
Dude.
They just got him doing the most basic stuff. You know, he's like, I'm in New York. Like, no, man, you're supposed to.
Then, Coach Vic, when I saw he had ketchup on his hot dog, I said, oh, man. I said, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Notre Dame. Come on. It ain't hard. It's not hard. But the good steward, clean fun, it's not catching right.
Yeah, we give you an E for effort, though.
It's an E for effort. You know, you can't do nothing with it transitorily, but it's a feel good. You know, y'all feel good doing it. But is it making any results happen? Probably not. But you can say you did it. And I think that's Notre Dame's thing. They just want to say they did it. They were good stewards about it. But listen, we gotta connect now. Connect the pieces. We doing this. Trying to make it work. We just keep missing. We on the right path. We just keep missing. We gotta connect.
Sam Hartman was in New York. He spent time on ESPN Sports Center and also College Football Live. Here's a little excerpt courtesy of ESPN of Sam Hartman and the exposure you get, like I said, in the sexiest position still in college football. That is the quarterback of the University of Notre Dame.
That Barry Sage Steele back with you on SportsCenter after an impressive run at Wake Forest. Quarterback Sam Hartman's new home is in South Bend, Indiana. Hello, Notre Dame. Let's dive into his career by the numbers. He leaves Wake Forest with the second most passing yards in ACC history, trailing only Phillip Rivers. Hartman has averaged over 8 yards per attempt in his career. He throws touchdowns galore with 4 career games of at least 5 touchdowns. That's more than all other players in Wake Forest history combined. His 110 total passing touchdowns are the most in ACC history. And 21 times in his career, he threw for at least 300 passing yards, most by any quarterback in conference history. Notre Dame had 1 game last season with over 300 passing yards. So you get why Sam Hartman and Notre Dame is a perfect marriage. And he joins me now, hanging out in New York City for the next couple of days. And Sam, I understand you guys have some big plans while you're in New York the next couple of days.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we got a little Mets game Friday night. Coach Freeman's going to go out there and toss the first pitch, and I hope everyone in the country's tuning in for that. Seeing
What?
A strike right down the middle.
I can't wait. Have you coached him up a little bit, being a quarterback, knowing how to sling a rock? Have you talked to him?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say don't throw it in the dirt. You know, you got to miss high if you're going to miss.
Yeah, please do not be the next 50 Cent or Mariah Carey when it comes to throwing a first pitch. Hey, when I introduced you there, man, it took some getting used to call you Notre Dame quarterback. How has that transition been in South Bend?
It's been surreal. I mean, I think hearing your name side by side by one of the most historic programs in the country is very cool, but also humbling. You know the expectations when it comes to being a Notre Dame football player and also being a Notre Dame quarterback. So a lot of excitement, a lot of nerves, but like you can see on the screen, you know, the guys, the 11 guys or the 22 guys on the field, what make it happen. And they've been great introducing me to the Notre Dame way. And then obviously Coach Freeman showing me the standard of what it takes to, you know, get it done.
And Sam, you had so much success, as I detailed, at Wake Forest. Why did you decide to make this move to Notre Dame?
I mean, I think partially for me, I love playing football, and I know that going to the NFL is a tough task. There's small percentages, and I do believe I can play in the NFL, but I knew I had an extra year of eligibility, and why not try and take a shot at a new place and a new scheme. And again, it's Notre Dame. I feel like that kind of answers itself of the history, you know, the legacy that's been left for our team this year to try and fulfill. We're all huge positives in my thinking about going back to school, and then meeting Coach Freeman was a big part of it, and what he is and who he is as a man, as a father, and as a coach, and just wanted to come give it another shot in college, year number 6, and try and make it happen.
Year number 6 sounds so much fun in college. I graduated in 4. Kind of regret that sometimes. But as a college football fan, I'm a history nerd when it comes to the sport. There's really something special about Notre Dame. You've alluded to it a couple of times now, and its place in college football. Sam, have you allowed yourself a minute or two on campus and around to really nerd out a bit about the history of that place?
I think so. I mean, I think there's you know, different things. Like I had a class my first spring in the Golden Dome, which was very cool. And then also my other class was in the stadium, so that felt pretty prestigious to be able to walk in there. And you know, I've only played it now in the stadium twice. We had 2 scrimmages there, and you get the feel when you walk down the tunnel that there's, you know, something special about it, something special about putting on the gold lid for the first time. And it's something I'm extremely grateful for, the opportunity, and hoping to make the most of it.
You guys get this thing started right away, right out of the gate. You get the most Irish experience ever, heading to Dublin. You play Navy in week 0. Have you ever been to Ireland before?
I have not. I had to get my passport renewed. It's gonna be experience for sure. But again, we got a tough task on the road, both teams being on the road, and you know, Navy poses a big challenge for us on defense schematically and what they like to do. And again, it's a first game for me and a first game for this team in this 2023 season. So it's going to be exciting. I know it's sold out already, and the Irish faithfuls are going to be there in numbers.
Look, maybe I'm not encouraging anything here on SportsCenter, but maybe with a victory, you can celebrate and have a legitimate pint with the Irish. Should you guys come out of there with a win? And it's been a year for you. It's been close to a year since it was announced you would miss the start of last season with a condition that ultimately caused a blood clot. Sam, reflecting back to last year, what was that time like for you?
I mean, very challenging. But I kind of go back with, really it's your family, the people closest to you, the team. I will always, be forever grateful for Wake Forest and everything that they've done for me, and the coaching staff and the training staff, everyone who was involved in that process. But, I got to give a shout out to Mom. She was there obviously from day one and then till now. And she was there with me in the hospital when all the different news and the different stories and the different speculations of what it could be or couldn't have been. And then again, I just think, like anything in life, if you just keep showing up and keep pushing, it kind of comes back to you. And I was grateful to continue playing. And it also showed me how much I love the game and how much more I want to play. And it kind of alludes back to what I talked about coming to Notre Dame. It was an opportunity to play football again, and I really couldn't pass it up.
It's like anything in life, if something gets taken away from you, you might not know what it meant to you until it's gone. And now you've got the second opportunity not only to play last year, but to continue your career at Notre Dame.
I mean, that whole 60-minute piece, breaking down Sam's character and all the journey of life that he's been through, you only got that time because you had Notre Dame. So, I do think that he's realizing how special it is. I mean, he's in New York for what? Just because he's at Notre Dame. He at Wake Forest. Guess where he's at if he was at Wake Forest? At home, chilling on the couch.
Getting ready for ACC Media Day.
Yeah, nobody cares about what you got going on. You don't get no solo interviews on no TV. You just an average guy in college football. Coming to Notre Dame, you got to wear a button-up shirt. You got to have a schedule. You on a mission. You got things to do, places to see. He said, "You going to the Mets game? You ain't going to the Mets game in New York, and you at Wake Forest."
None of them need to go to the Mets game. They need to stay as far away from that organization. Go to the Bronx, bro. Please go to the Bronx.
So, doing random things like this, it just builds to the why Notre Dame quarterback is one of the best positions and statuses you can have in the world. I mean, you're doing things out of that normal quarterbacks aren't able to do. So Sam saw the value of that and is seeing the value of it, that he's committed and he's the solo dolo guy out there. And, now you get these expectations. You don't have the same expectations. And people didn't care, honestly, quite frankly, about what you did at Wake Forest because you've accepted this role of being the CEO of Notre Dame football team. That's has expectations where people are paying attention to everything that you're doing. It's you throwing these picks and being turnover prone. They're not going to like it. They're going to say something.
Let me tell you something. Sam Hartman, for the most part, had gotten used to the big games in the ACC. He had faced Clemson multiple times. Facing Clemson had become the norm for him. He was used to that.
He ain't never been in a game where he's beat Clemson the way we beat him.
Let me tell you something.
Never been in a game like that.
September 23rd, Sam Hartman has never experienced that, bro.
Never.
He's never. And Sam Hartman, I'm going to be honest. I believe Sam Hartman is going to be a steadying force for the offense. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah.
I believe in his calmness. I believe in him being able to move on, take it step by step, play by play. But he's about to experience a level of anxiety, nervousness, whatever you want to call it.
We're going to see Sam Hartman has a pace of a D1, the pace of a generational quarterback. You got to be a dude at Notre Dame. That's the flip side of this whole coin. Yeah, you're going to get the fame. You're going to get the expectations. You're going to get accolades. You already getting the Heisman conversation. You didn't take a snap yet. The flip side is you got to be a dude, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no excuses for it.
No.
Nobody's going to help you. If you don't go out there and be the generator The house ain't gonna be powered up, and you're gonna be broke. You're gonna be out of a job. So for me, yes, take advantage of all these resources that are coming your way. But like I said, the difference between dudes and not dudes is expectations. Deshaun, when I had gotten hurt, there wasn't no expectation for him. So anything he did, and when he played well, it was great. Oh man, yeah, well, nobody ever thought that. The next year, all right, Deshaun, you got to win these games. We young. We got this on you.
Expectations went up.
Expectations is that you have to win the game. Not last year where you just throw it the wheel. You got the O-line blocking great. You hand it off left or right, close your eyes. Nothing that you can do out there is wrong. Just don't turn it over. Now it's like, look, you have to score touchdowns. And if you don't, we're not going to win. And we didn't win. Plain and simple, cut and dry. It's not no biased opinion or no feel. It's the truth. 7 games we lost last year or in that year were on game-winning drive. As in, you're going down to be that dude to score to win. You got to, and we didn't get it done. Ian Book, during the year when him and Brandon going back and forth. Ian Book had no expectation. They just couldn't stop talking bad about Brandon. Oh, Brandon's going to turn the ball over. Brandon. So Ian just stepping in, and anything Ian did was great. Anything he did. Oh, we start Ian right now. He's the future. When expectations came up when Ian started, all right, Ian, it's not good enough to go undefeated. As crazy as that sounds, it's not good enough to go undefeated. Because if you go to the playoffs and lose in the first round, what's the point of the undefeated? You putting up 2,800 yards, you're not even in New York, and you went undefeated. So, he can skate past, but you will never get the accolades that you probably feel like you deserve as the winningest quarterback of all time. Because you have to be a dude at Notre Dame. It's good enough is not acceptable when you're trying to put your name in the greats at Notre Dame. It's just not. You got to be able to either put up or shut up.
Remember our conversation from the other day surrounding Sam Hartman left?
Yeah.
Can I give you Vegas's over-unders for his stats this year, the prop bets? They have Sam Hartman at 2,800 yards passing.
Oh, my God.
That's
the lowest in his career.
They have Sam Hartman at 26 touchdowns.
Who they think we got, Ian? They thought we got Ian redrafted from the.
Bro, I told you. Vegas is on some extreme disrespect right now.
They don't got us winning
when it comes
games.
to this Notre Dame offense, boy.
They don't got us no more games with Sam. They got Sam playing the worst in his career. I mean, oh my gosh. Who do you think we are? You really think we're gonna get the guy that put up 12,000 yards in the career with a terrible team? That he's gonna have his worst stats of his 5 years in college football? The worst stats on a better team? Man, Vegas must
Notre Dame fans, if you are betting fans, run to the window with that 2,600.
Oh man.
Run. 2,600?
I'm taking the over. 26 touchdowns? He had 3 in the spring game. Vegas must be Michigan fans or something. He had 3 in the spring game, guys.
Man.
So 26 is like
200 a week. They're like, yeah, we'll give him 200 yards a week.
Oh my, we had Ian at what? We had Ian at not Ian, Drew Pine at what? 220?
Dude, we were asking Drew Pine for 150 by the end of the year. Bro. We were begging Drew Pine to give us 150 by the end of the year.
Oh my God. So 200 for a guy that's supposed to be way better is just wild. I mean, what do people see? It goes back to not having an identity. I'm sure Vegas and their smart guys over there, them being as smart as they are, couldn't figure out what our identity was. That's how unknown it is. That's how much of a question it is. We are so unknown of our identity on offense that even Vegas can't come up with more wins for us than the year before. They can't put the equation together. The receiver room was so unproductive last year that even with a better quarterback, they still can't give us no more wins. We done got the best quarterback you can get that wasn't already on a team. And Vegas is like, we still can't calculate. 6 receivers with 1,000 yards, and we can't calculate. Say I'm doing better for this team. We can't even. They said Charlie Jones has such an impact on the Notre Dame receiver room last year that all the receivers combined can't give you a Charlie Jones production as a group. So they like, what you think Sam gonna do? They laugh and they said, look, y'all got the best quarterback available, and we still won't give you no more wins. We still won't give you over 3,000 yards passing with a guy who's thrown for 12,000 in 5 years. What? This is wow. It's nobody else's fault but to blame but our own. Because we're not putting out info that got anybody thinking anything different. Oh, we're going to pull a little bit from here, a little bit from here, use last year's stuff. Oh, we got the best quarterback available. We can run, we can throw. We don't know. That's an indictment on our receiver room. It's an indictment on Sam Hartman. But, we still gotta be positive about what we have moved forward.
Lucky Lefty podcast. As we get ready to close out, I pointed out that I watched the Marcus Cousins documentary on Showtime that chronicled his return from his torn Achilles. As I watched, there was one thing that stood out. And I said, yo, that's crazy. He said, physically, you go through it, you feel good, you build your leg and your muscles back up. The doctors tell you everything is okay. And he said, the one thing you can never get rid of is the mental side that you're no longer invincible. Being that great athlete, mentally, going out on the court knowing I can do whatever I want to do at any point in time. I don't have to think about the move. I don't have to wonder if I can do the move. I can just go. And that, when I started thinking about Jadarian Price and we hear about how great he looks, how much bigger he is and physically and all of that, the mental hurdle and the mental scar of just feeling like I can do whatever I want on this football field. That's the one thing that we should all hope and pray that gets the healing in this process, because I think it's the one thing a lot of people overlook when it comes to this Achilles injury and being a great player. You're talking about somebody that was going to possibly start over Aldrich Estime and Logan Diggs as a true freshman.
Yeah.
So fall camp is more than physical for Jadarian Price, because he's done the physical work. Can he get back to feeling, man, I can do what I want to do on this football field? Because that fight is much more difficult than the actual physical side of returning. And that's saying a lot, because that's a grueling rehab from an injury. I just thought I would point that out. That stood out to me with Jadarian Price as he returns. Not so much as he physically ready. Can he go out there and be that dude? And it's a whole lot more mental to that than I think some of us may realize. So
it's something that everybody has a different way of dealing with how they recover from injuries. Obviously, an Achilles is very, it's a scary injury to have. Shit, my injury was scary to have just because of the unknown about it. You have to have a lot of inner faith, but also you something like an Achilles, you don't know when the next thing can happen to it because there's nothing that you can prevent. You're literally putting yourself in harm's way.
Left.
That can happen.
Let me tell you something, man. I used to play. I played rec league basketball here in Chicago, well into my 20s, well into my 30s, bro. My backcourt partner, at about the age of 35, I'm playing with him, and I see him take off at the top of the key, and he just goes down like somebody shot him. 35, family, all of that, tears his Achilles. And I'm sitting there like, man, and I never forget, Left. I never forget. I put on a lot of weight. For those of you that don't know me, man, I fluctuated. A pretty good athlete, man. I fluctuated in the 200s. Stayed fit because I played basketball 3-4 times a week, the majority of my life. And then life just slowed down. You start going into studios, eating pizza every day, producing shows, sitting down. You know what I'm saying? Life slows down. You don't get to go hoop as much. And I put on weight, and I happened to go hoop. And I pulled my right calf.
And that shit hurts.
I pulled my right, but I pulled it at the bottom, Left.
Yeah.
I pulled it at the bottom.
What they call it, the gastrocnemius.
Yes. So I rested. A month later. I go hoop. I pull it again.
Yeah, easy. That's a 6 to 7 month, 8 month recovery, honestly.
And I immediately
after you feel better.
Yes. And I had somebody that was honest enough to tell me that I grew up hooping with that said, Shaun, you're working your way down to your Achilles, bro.
Oh, yeah. You pull that thing, it's over. Especially because you're not active every day. So now you sitting up there, you're going to gain even more weight because you can't even do nothing with an Achilles for at least a year.
As soon as he said that, I threw my card in.
You hung up the shoes for the last time.
I'm done. You will not catch me unless I'm shooting around with my nephews or something like that for fun. Nah. I'm too old to be going through rehab for an Achilles, bro. Jadarian Price, look, from everybody here, LL Nation, Notre Dame, man, our prayers go to you for a great recovery, a great return to the field, but also the mental strength to be able to go out there and overcome the scars that have come with it.
That's right.
Because most of us don't recognize them, but we know they're there. And we hope that you can walk on that field and feel total confidence in being able to do whatever it is that you want to do.
Because he built like He-Man now.
Man.
Brother Stack, he looked like he ready to go. So
man, that dude wakes up. That dude, man, go to sleep doing pushes, boy. Like
he might be bigger than Aldridge, for real. When it comes to just, he looked like the closest thing to Reggie Bush we didn't have at running back in a while because he looked good. Man,
I'm telling you, I walked on the practice field last year and I looked to the left in the fall camp and he's in the corner left with some hexes.
Like He-Man, that boy is
He's in the corner with some hexes, bro, like some 50s. Just during practice. And I'm like, bro, you're gonna explode your whole top. Man, he was on a mission to get back. Man. And I just pointed out that a lot of times as fans, we think about the physical side, but man, there is a mental side as well. And I hope we see the very best of Jadarian Price and what he has to offer, man. I really do. Great show, great week of content. Don't forget, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CFB Nation, YouTube, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, helps us with the views. We'll be back. I will have a special show that I'm dropping on Saturday as well. Podcast will be up CFB Nation exclusively later today. We talked about the O-line and how much promise they have and how they're going to be driving force behind Jared Parker and this offense. Joe Rudolph, the incredible job he's doing in development, coaching, and we're going to see how the season plays out because at some point, this offensive line is going to be the anchor in big games for Notre Dame to be able to do big things. And we'll see if they can go ahead and be that anchor for Notre Dame as they move throughout this season. And then we touched on Notre Dame invading New York. Joe Alt giving us an incomplete food review in New York. And then Sam Hartman spending time up at ESPN. Marcus Freeman to throw out the first pitch for the New York Mets tonight. Man, pray for him. Cover your head coach tonight that all bad vibes will not return to South Bend coming from the New York Mets. And unfortunately, I have to watch my White Sox go down south against the Braves and probably get massacred all weekend. But hey, it is what it is. Great weekend, guys. Check the Twitter feed. We'll let you know what we're going to post for Saturday because it's some big-time recruits coming in for this cookout. And the class of 25 is truly heating up for the University of Notre Dame. Coaching staff is doing a tremendous job early on, getting in on these kids. All right? So, for Malik, I'm Shaun Davis. Have a great weekend. And hey, guys, most of all, make sure that you spend it different.